I chased the campus belle for 2 years, and she tested me for 2 years, just when we were finally about to make it official. She suddenly announced her relationship with someone else on Instagram, fuming with rage. I planned to confront her in person and get to the bottom of it, but in the very next second, a line of comments popped up in front of me. They read, "Finally here. This is the heroine's final test. As long as the male lead passes, what follows will be sweet and spicy couple content." She promised to officially date him on his birthday, but announced a relationship a month early just to test whether he would stay no matter what. No choice. The heroine may look cool and elegant on the outside, but she's actually sensitive and fragile on the inside. We sensitive people really need a partner who won't ever leave us. Male lead. You have to pass this test. I stared at their intimate photos on Instagram, stunned. The smile on her face, it was a sweetness and happiness I'd never seen before. I gave a slight smile, liked the post, then deleted and blocked her on WeChat, and I posted my own Instagram. Fragile, sensitive, and addicted to playing games. If you've got a problem in your head, go get it treated. That night, the campus belle blew up my phone. Chapter 1. I had just blocked Willow when the comment feed exploded again. One said, "Wait, did I see that right? The male lead actually blocked the female lead. Isn't he supposed to be begging her not to leave him? Poor girl, her phone's practically on fire waiting for his message, and he just ghosted her completely." Another added, "The guy's kinda going too far. The girl was just trying to test him a little, and he straight up blocked her and even threw shade in his post." And someone else chimed in, "Right, watch, once he sees her getting lovey-dovey with the other guy, he'll fall back in line." I had no idea how I was seeing these comments, but it wasn't hard to guess. The male and female lead they were talking about were clearly me and Willow. But seriously, are these comments written by sane people? She was the one who went public with another guy, betraying me, and somehow, I'm the one who's supposed to go begging her for forgiveness. Yes, I liked Willow, but my sincerity was never something she had the right to test. Just a few days ago, I was still eagerly probing her for hints about her likes, trying to figure out the perfect gift for her birthday. One glance at our chat history, and it was all green bubbles. Willow barely ever replied. I kept comforting myself. Maybe she was just busy, probably hadn't seen the messages, but looking back now, it's laughable. Maybe she never took me seriously to begin with. My friends always said I was a simp with principles. When I like someone, I go all in without holding back, but when I stop liking them, I cut things off clean and sharp, without hesitation. By now, several friends had already sent me screenshots of Willow's Instagram, asking what happened. Some asked what my own post meant, obviously hoping for gossip. I didn't respond to any of them. That Instagram post, I'd made it impulsively, but now, I didn't feel like deleting it. Whatever Willow thinks after seeing it, I don't care anymore. If she's upset, she can call the cops. I turned off my phone and focused on memorizing IELTS vocabulary. Hesitation has never been my style. Too much mental friction, and you end up with thyroid nodules. But memorizing more words, that might actually help pave the way for my future career. Chapter 2. By the time I came out of the library, the sky had already turned dark. I turned my phone back on, and dozens of missed calls popped up instantly, all from Willow. This was the first time in 2 years that she had ever taken the initiative to call me. Just as I was about to tap in, her call came through again. I accidentally hit the answer button. A cold, calm voice quickly came from the other end. She asked, "You blocked me on WeChat." I said calmly, "Yeah, you were becoming an eyesore, so I deleted you." There was a brief silence. Then she asked with a hint of a raised tone, "What's wrong? Are you mad?" I let out a light chuckle. "How could I be? If you found happiness, I'm happy for you. I wish you both all the best." Just as the words left my mouth, I heard something shatter on her end. Willow's voice turned completely cold. She snapped, "George, do you even know what you're saying?" I replied, "I do." "Willow, let's not contact each other anymore." I enunciated each word slowly, my voice calm and firm. Willow was silent for a long time. After a while, she spoke, her tone unreadable. "George, you're just like the rest of them." She hung up, but the comment feed instantly exploded again. One said, "What's going on? Weren't they supposed to start their sweet couple life together after this? Why are they suddenly cutting ties? The male lead is being way too petty. The female lead loves him so much. Can't he just let her win a little?" Another chimed in, "Exactly. If it were me, and I had such a fragile, sensitive beauty, I'd love her no matter how dramatic she got." But someone else countered, "Am I the only one who thinks the female lead went too far? In a relationship, trust is everything. Testing the guy like this isn't okay." Then came a rebuttal. "You don't get it. She turned out this way because her parents divorced when she was young. The male lead should have given her more love and support, As I walked back to the dorm, I still couldn't shake off the bitterness in my chest. After all, when you truly love someone, how could it not hurt? And what those comments said about Willow's parents, I'd actually heard about it a year ago from her brother. That was why I'd tolerated so much from her for so long. But the truth is, you should never try to save someone. You can't pull them out of the abyss. You'll only end up being dragged into it with them. And as for what the comments said about Willow loving me, I never felt that, not once. If she loved me, she wouldn't have ignored nearly all my messages for 2 whole years. She wouldn't have repeatedly forgotten our plans, leaving me to wait outside the cinema in the snow for 3 hours. She wouldn't have stayed silent when classmates mocked me, saying I was delusional for chasing her, like a toad wanting to eat swan meat. Most of what I remember is her consistent indifference. True departure never happens in an instant. It's when every last bit of hope has been worn away. Maybe, after making peace this time, I could really be with Willow. But once suspicion arises, there will never be peace. I don't want to spend my future days constantly explaining and proving myself. Chapter 3. The next day, I went to class for a general course. Makoto, a rich kid, happened to be surrounded by a few classmates, all flattering him. He was the same Makoto that Willow had announced as her boyfriend online. So naturally, he became the center of attention. Many people started asking him questions about him and Willow. As soon as I walked into the classroom, the previously cheerful atmosphere fell silent. Everyone turned to look at me. Some eyes were mocking and provocative. Others were sympathetic. I pretended not to see any of it. After I sat down, I heard someone sneer behind me. Someone said, "I thought a certain clown would have had a mental breakdown last night and wouldn't dare show up today. Didn't expect his skin to still be this thick." I turned around and said, "Interesting. Why do you assume I'd break down? Don't tell me you're the one who likes Willow and cried yourself to sleep last night under the covers." His body froze. He glanced nervously at Makoto and stammered, "Don't talk nonsense. You think everyone's as shameless as you." I laughed. At least I'm not a coward. When I like someone, I pursue them openly. You, on the other hand, don't even dare admit your feelings. You. He was so choked up he couldn't respond. Just pointed at me furiously with his finger. Makoto frowned. "That's enough, all of you. Stop." He glanced disdainfully at the guy, then walked over to my seat. He smiled and said, "George, I don't care what happened between you and Willow in the past, but she's my girlfriend now. I hope you'll stop clinging to her. Can we agree on that?" Makoto sounded all righteous and noble. It sparked a wave of speculation among the classmates. Someone said, "Clinging? Is he saying someone's been bothering Willow even though she already has a boyfriend? That's beyond creepy." Another added, "Who knows? He chased after Lou, the other campus belle, like crazy before. Wouldn't be surprising if he's the type to obsess and pester. Honestly, guys like that deserve to get beat up." The murmurs around me grew louder. I looked up at Makoto and said, "I've never approached Willow again after you two got together." Makoto nodded quickly. "Yes, you haven't. As long as you don't keep harassing my girlfriend, I can pretend nothing happened before. Otherwise." The comments started popping up again. "Makoto is such a jerk. Can the male lead just slap him already?" Honestly, compared to the side guy, the male lead seems much more decent. At least he's upfront about everything. Chapter 4. Makoto's words sounded like he was trying to clear my name. But he was just a sentence away from outright accusing me of trying to steal his girlfriend. Just moments ago, some classmates had still shown a bit of sympathy toward me, but now, their eyes were filled with disdain. I knew nothing I said would help at this point. I was even considering fully embracing the bad guy role, and just decking Makoto in the face right there. But then, I heard footsteps at the door. Willow walked in. I'd almost forgotten. We had signed up for this general class together back when I still wanted to take courses with her. She looked worn out, her reddened eyes fixed on me. I looked back at her. I thought that at the very least, she would speak up and clarify the truth, but Willow said nothing. The comment feed couldn't stay calm. The destined couple is really the sweetest. Even just looking at each other is giving me diabetes. Male lead, go apologize to her. Just say sorry and she'll definitely dump the side guy and publicly declare she's your girlfriend. I'm really starting to hate the male lead. She didn't sleep all night, and she's falling apart. Can't he just be more generous and apologize first? Wait, what? This comment section is wild. The girl betrayed the guy, and now y'all want him to be the bigger person. Is this misandrous drama disguised as female empowerment? In the end, I said nothing. I lowered my eyes and quietly packed up my things. Willow seemed to let out a soft scoff as she walked past my desk, and sat down right next to Makoto. That single action completely confirmed what Makoto had said. Makoto gave me a smug glance, then immediately slung an arm around Willow's shoulders, and Willow didn't push him away. Just like that, the rumor that I was harassing someone else's girlfriend spread faster than wildfire across campus, even made it onto the school forum. When I walked through the halls, I could feel the occasional finger-pointing and whispering, even for major class group projects. No one wanted to partner up with me. Still, I stayed focused on my own work. If no one would do the group project with me, I'd do it alone. After all, these group assignments usually ended up being solo efforts anyway. Chapter 5. Over the weekend, I went home for dinner. My parents brought up the topic of moving their business overseas. They had mentioned it before, even saying they wanted to take me abroad for further studies. But back then, I turned them down because of Willow. Now, thinking about how things are at school, even if I can pretend not to care, given the choice, no one wants to be the target of public ridicule. So I told my parents, I'm willing to study abroad. The moment they heard that, they were overjoyed. After all, they were about to explore an overseas market. If it went well, they might settle abroad permanently. Naturally, they didn't want to be separated from their son, but when they brought up the departure date, my hand holding the chopsticks paused. It was Willow's birthday. My parents noticed my expression and asked if the date needed to be changed. I shook my head with a smile. No need. This day works just fine. Chapter 6. Back at school. I prepared to hand in my completed study abroad application to my advisor. Just as I stepped out of the dorm, I ran into Willow. Lately, I'd been seeing her a lot, because Makoto lived in this building too. The two of them were practically glued together, going to class, eating, taking walks. It was as if that cold, distant persona she had only ever applied to me. Her lashes lifted slightly, and she gave me a cold look, as if waiting for me to speak to her like I used to. I ignored her and was about to leave, but in the next second, she grabbed the cuff of my sleeve. Her eyes locked onto the word "study abroad" on my application form. Her voice trembled slightly. "What's that in your hand?" I frowned. "Can't you read?" Willow bit her lip. "You're going abroad?" I wasn't in the mood for small talk. My advisor would be off in 30 minutes. So I grabbed her wrist, trying to pry her hand off my sleeve, but the next moment, Makoto came out of the dorm, seeing me holding Willow's hand. He snapped, "What the hell are you two doing?" Willow ignored him completely. Her eyes remained fixed on me. Tears welled slightly at the corners of her eyes. She repeated her question. "Are you really going abroad?" Makoto also noticed the application in my hand. He suddenly let out a sarcastic laugh. He said, "Willow, don't let George fool you." Willow loosened her grip on my sleeve and turned to Makoto, puzzled. "Fool me?" Chapter 7. Makoto nodded. "Yeah, our department did have one study abroad slot. But the advisor already gave it to the top student. The form George has. It's from last month." Hearing that, Willow let go of my sleeve completely, the tension in her face finally easing. I glanced down at the sleeve she'd yanked out of shape. Even the stitching on the cuff had come undone. Willow had always been like this. The moment her emotions got stirred up, she would lose all sense and act out without restraint. I met her eyes. She let out a cold snort and said, "George, is this the only way you can get my attention now?" Honestly, I just wanted to slap her and tell her to quit the drama. If she hadn't stopped me, I'd already be in the advisor's office by now. She kept going. "Or maybe, you realized you still can't forget me. And you're hoping I'll give you another chance." That last sentence, she said it quietly, with a rare softness in her voice. The comment feed buzzed. Male lead. "Your girl is throwing you a bone here, take it." Willow's never been one to budge, and now she's literally handing you an out. Don't be dumb. Poor girl's been thinking about the male lead for days. She came here just to see him. If she doesn't get her pride out of the way, she's gonna lose it. I looked at the comments, then at Makoto's smug smile. I suddenly let out a laugh, and met Willow's gaze. I said, "Willow, do you really think I'll chase you forever and keep being your simp?" Her expression froze. I stopped looking at either of them and walked away. The advisor would be leaving soon. I had to hurry. Makoto wasn't wrong. Our department really did only have one official slot for studying abroad, but mine didn't come from the department. Chapter 8. After handing the application form to my advisor, I went back to focusing on my own things. That evening, while I was working on a group assignment in the dorm, I suddenly received a few photos on my phone. They were from Makoto, intimate pictures of him and Willow in a private booth at a club. That's when I remembered. I'd only blocked Willow. I forgot to block him. In the photos, Willow's face was flushed, her eyes dazed, and she was leaning happily against Makoto's chest. I only opened one photo, then blocked Makoto immediately, but the comment feed couldn't stay calm. "George, don't fall for the side guy's tricks. He sent those on purpose to mess with you." Exactly. The girl was just upset over what you said this morning and went drinking. She only got taken advantage of because she got drunk. Makoto just tried to kiss her earlier, but she pushed him away. "She's a good girl. She's literally calling your name even now." Reading those comments, I couldn't help but let out a scoff. Maybe my definition of a good girl was just different from the comment sections. To me, no matter the situation, a good girl would never test a man's love by drinking at a bar in the middle of the night with another guy who obviously likes her. I suddenly realized, now that I've stopped being a simp, Willow not only lost her goddess glow in my eyes, she even started to show flaws I couldn't stand. It felt like she was slowly rotting in my memory. Chapter 9. In the days that followed, I still saw Willow and Makoto around often, but I treated them like strangers. Sometimes I heard Willow call my name from behind me, but I always pretended not to hear. Classmates said their relationship wasn't as perfect as Makoto made it out to be. There were times people spotted them where Makoto would be calling Willow from behind, but she'd just walk ahead without even turning her head. I had no interest in their drama. I thought that as long as I stayed away, I could peacefully wait for the day I'd go abroad. But today, while I was organizing my notes in the library, someone suddenly placed a breakfast box in front of me. I looked up and met Willow's awkward gaze. She turned her face away and huffed. I accidentally bought too much. It'd be a waste not to eat it. So here, you take it. I looked at the breakfast. 2 boiled eggs and a basket of soup dumplings. It was the same breakfast I used to bring her all the time. There was a time I genuinely wished that one day my efforts would be reciprocated, but now I no longer needed that. I tossed the food back toward her. I've already eaten. Willow didn't take it. She frowned and snapped. Ungrateful much. Fine. If you don't want it, throw it away. Without hesitation, I picked up the food and tossed it straight into the trash. Willow froze. Her face turned cold. She gritted her teeth and said, "George, you've really grown a backbone. From now on, no matter how much you beg me, I'll never give you anything again." With that, she stormed off, revealing Makoto, who had been standing a short distance behind her. He glared at me and shouted, "George, I fucking warned you already. Why are you still harassing my girlfriend?" I looked around. We were in the library. People were already annoyed at the noise. I had no interest in getting tangled up with him. I just said, "Go get your head checked." I thought he was going to hit me, but instead, he just snarled, "I won't let you off that easily," and then left. Finally, peace. The comment feed chimed in. Makoto's look just now was kinda creepy. He's not planning something shady, is he? Right. In the original story, the male lead already made up with the female lead by now. This never happened. We don't know what's coming next. If something bad happens, it's on the male lead. He should have just apologized earlier and avoided all this. Serves him right. I closed my eyes and rubbed my brow. Honestly, even I could tell just now that something was off about Makoto, but even if I was worried, there was nothing I could do. We can only block soldiers with generals and stop water with earth. I just didn't expect the soldiers and water to come so soon. Chapter 10. I had just arrived in the classroom and set down my things when I saw Willow pushing Makoto in a wheelchair. Makoto's leg was in a cast. Our classmates quickly gathered around, showing concern. They asked what had happened. Makoto, his face bruised and swollen, his voice hoarse, recounted how he had been beaten and had his leg broken the night before. He'd been locked in a bathroom all night, barely making it out alive. Seeing the state he was in, everyone around grew furious. How could anyone do something like that? Did you see who it was? That's just vicious. This kind of person needs to be reported to the police and arrested. But Makoto slowly turned his eyes toward me. The others followed his gaze. I had a bad feeling. Sure enough, Willow stepped up to me, looking at me with sadness and disappointment in her eyes. She said, "George, I didn't expect this from you. How could you treat Makoto like that?" I took a deep breath and tried to keep my voice calm. "Why do you think it was me? Do you have any proof?" She replied. Makoto saw it with his own eyes. "What more proof do you need?" Willow looked at me with a face full of frustration. Like I had let her down. The others joined in, speaking up for Makoto. "Exactly. Makoto saw it himself. Do you think he would go so far as to break his own leg just to frame you?" I was wondering who was that despicable. "It's you." Someone else chimed in. "You must have been jealous of Makoto being with Willow. You pretended not to care before, but now we see how much venom you were hiding. If you've got guts, compete openly. Playing dirty behind people's backs, what kind of man are you?" Another added. "This loser couldn't win anything. He stalked the school beauty for 2 years, and when she got a boyfriend, he kept pestering her. Lou totally ignored him. If I were him, I wouldn't even show my face in public." The voices around me grew more and more vicious. Even the live stream comments were boiling over. It's obvious the side character locked himself in the bathroom. He's making up lies because there's no surveillance in there to catch him, and he's not even really injured. What a faker. Chapter 11. I looked coldly at Makoto and asked, "You just said I locked you in the restroom at 8 p.m. last night, right?" Makoto rubbed his temples and avoided my eyes. "Yes, Willow stepped protectively in front of Makoto, as if afraid I'd hurt him. She looked at me indignantly. George, what's the point of these questions now? The facts speak for themselves. Don't even try to deny it. I looked down at Willow, my expression calm. Then let's call the police. Let them investigate. Makoto's face turned pale at the mention of the police. Even Willow hesitated for a moment before saying, "We all know calling the police won't be good for you. Makoto is very forgiving. If you apologize and take care of him until his leg heals, just serve him tea and help him out, that'll be enough." Upon hearing that, the classmates around started commenting how generous Makoto was and that I didn't deserve to be let off so easily. I just sneered. I said, "Why should I apologize for something I didn't do? And I'm not serving Makoto tea or anything. I can give him piss, though. Want that?" "George," Willow snapped, "you broke Makoto's leg and you're still being arrogant. Don't go too far. This is already his last chance for you." More comments popped up. Damn, I really want to jump in and shout, "The side character is faking it. He's not even hurt. Nothing we can do. His dad's a department head at the hospital and got him a fake diagnosis. As long as he claims he's injured, there's no way for the male lead to prove anything." Another said, "Goddamn, I can't take it anymore. I want to slap these classmates, slap the female lead twice, and hit the side character with a full-on demon-slaying combo." I smiled at Willow and said, "Is that so? Got it." Hearing my words, everyone's expressions eased. They thought I had given in. Makoto looked at me with a hint of smugness in his eyes. I slowly walked toward him. When I was just a few steps away, I suddenly picked up the chair beside me and swung it hard at him. No one reacted in time. Just as the chair was about to smash into Makoto's head, he suddenly stood up and dodged. Makoto snapped, "George, are you insane?" Willow gasped, "Makoto, your leg." Chapter 12. Yes, just moments ago, the same person who claimed he wouldn't be able to walk for 2 months was now briskly dodging my attack like nothing was wrong. I dropped the chair and clapped my hands. "Ito," I said, "here's a friendly tip. Next time you fake something, go with a concussion. Leg injuries are way too easy to expose. That is, if you even get another chance to fake it." Makoto glared at me with clenched teeth. I turned to Willow. "Anything else you'd like to say?" Willow looked at me in disbelief, but still refused to back down. "Even if Makoto's leg injury was fake," she said, "locking him in the bathroom was still your fault." Just as she finished speaking, a gentle voice came from the doorway. "George didn't lock Makoto in the bathroom. It was Professor Chan from the Foreign Languages Department," he said. "Because George was at my house all night studying for the IELTS exam. There's a surveillance camera in my living room. It can prove everything." The moment he finished speaking, the entire room went silent. Makoto and Willow's faces went pale in an instant. Chapter 13. I called the police, and once they arrived, we were summoned to the department head's office. After clarifying the truth of the matter, the officer told me that since their defamation hadn't caused any real harm to me, the most they could do was detain them for up to 5 days and fine them no more than 500 yuan. I was a bit disappointed. The department head didn't want the situation to escalate further, so he tried to persuade me. "As long as you don't press charges, you can vent your anger however you like." After all, Willow wasn't even from our department, and in just a few days she was supposed to represent the school in an international competition, a matter of major importance for the school's reputation. I raised an eyebrow. Since I could vent however I liked, I walked straight up to the two of them. Smack, 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 smack. I lifted my hand and gave each of them 2 heavy slaps. I had used all my strength. By the last hit, my hand was going numb. Makoto even started bleeding from the corner of his mouth. He tried to fight back but was held down by the department head and a few other teachers. Willow didn't dodge. She just looked at me pitifully, putting on a wide-eyed innocent act, which made me feel absolutely sick. I turned to the others. I said, "Officer, I've calmed down now. I won't pursue the defamation case any further, but they must write a formal handwritten apology and read it aloud over the school broadcast." The department head immediately agreed. The police officer stared at me, stunned, as if he couldn't believe I had actually laid hands on them right in front of him. I pointed at Makoto and added, "But you better thoroughly investigate that fake medical record. That's no small matter. Some doctor at the hospital definitely abused their authority to help him." The officer's expression turned serious. "Don't worry. We'll handle this with the utmost care." Makoto turned pale again. His legs gave out, and he collapsed to the ground. He cried, "No, I didn't fake the medical record. This has nothing to do with the hospital." But no matter how much Makoto shouted, the police ignored him and took him away on the spot. The livestream comment section lit up. "So satisfying. I've seen way too many male leads who act like simps. Finally, someone who throws hands instead of words. Love it. Yeah, just thinking about how that side character's dad, the department director, probably won't even be able to keep his job as a doctor later." Makes me so thrilled I feel like doing a few sets of military boxing. Chapter 14. As I walked out of the department head's office, Willow looked like she had something to say to me, but I ignored her and left directly with Professor Chan. Professor Chan was a close friend of my father's. He had come to return the workbook I had left at his house. In the days that followed, I rarely saw Willow again, but I could always feel a pair of eyes watching me from behind. Whenever I turned around, there was nothing there. Until the day before I was set to leave the country. I was in a hurry to get home and pack when a slender figure blocked my way at a corner. I looked closely. It was Willow. She turned her face away, not daring to meet my eyes, and said awkwardly, "I broke up with Makoto." I was speechless. Who cares? I shot her a glare and moved to walk past her, but Willow quickly stepped in front of me again. She looked up at me and softly asked, "Tomorrow's my birthday. Will you come?" That's when I remembered, my departure day was also Willow's birthday. Not wanting to get entangled with her again, I casually nodded. "We'll see." Her eyes lit up immediately. "Then make sure to come early. I prepared a surprise for you." After a short pause, she added, "I'll be wearing that white dress you gave me." Her ears turned red as she said that. If this had been before, I probably would have teased her like I'd found a whole new side of her. But now, I didn't have time for her. I left quickly. I still had a lot to pack. If I didn't hurry back, I'd be up all night. Besides, I probably wouldn't have many chances to come back again. Chapter 15. In the airport's departure lounge, Willow had already called me 10 times. My mom glanced at my constantly buzzing phone and couldn't help asking, "You sure you don't want to answer? Maybe it's something urgent." I smiled, shook my head, declined the call, turned off my phone, and slipped it into my coat pocket. A boarding announcement came over the speakers. My parents and I headed toward the gate together. I didn't feel even a hint of sadness or reluctance. Instead, I was full of excitement and determination. I had always known exactly what I wanted. The first thing I did after getting off the plane was switch SIM cards. From the live stream comments, I later found out that Willow had actually planned to fulfill our agreement and say yes to being my girlfriend that day. According to what they said, she wore that white dress I gave her, and even invited many of our classmates and teachers. But when she found out I was leaving the country that day, she took 2 steps back in disbelief, holding onto the table to steady herself. Those 10 or so calls had all come from her during that moment. When she realized I had turned off my phone and couldn't be reached anymore, she finally broke down. She ran out into the rain, trying to get to the airport and beg me not to leave, but no taxi would stop for her. Our classmates and teachers tried to remind her that by that time, I was already on the plane. In the end, Willow could only cry bitterly in the pouring rain. After that, I stopped keeping up with any news about her. Life abroad was fulfilling. Since I was studying finance, aside from the heavy coursework, I also interned at my parents' company during every break. I'm their only son, and they poured all their energy into me. Even before I was fully familiar with the business, they started letting me run projects on my own. As they put it, they weren't afraid I'd lose money, they were only afraid I wouldn't learn. Fortunately, I didn't let them down. Through rounds of theory and practice, I gradually earned the shareholders' respect. 5 years later, I returned to China with my company's team. At an expo, I chose to invest in a fashion project that Willow had helped design. Chapter 16. From the moment we met, Willow kept staring at me as if I'd disappear the second she blinked. Her eyes were red, and her hand trembled as she shook mine. I smiled casually. Here's to a successful partnership. The exhibition was still ongoing. I had just stepped out of the restroom when a figure suddenly threw herself into my arms. Willow buried her face in my chest, her voice choked and full of grievance. "I missed you so much," she said. I shoved her straight to the floor and frowned. "Are you out of your damn mind?" Willow looked at me in disbelief. You hit me." I sneered. "Damn right I did." "What? You think I need a reason or timing for it?" "Willow, you didn't seriously think I still liked you, did you?" Maybe my coldness shattered her illusions. She bit her lip, staring at me with unwillingness. "If you don't like me," she asked, "then why did you invest in my project?" "Money," I replied. I looked at Willow with disdain. After all these years, I couldn't believe her mind was still stuck on romance. Throughout the entire expo, her project had clearly been the most profitable. Even though I didn't want to deal with her personally, I wasn't the one in charge of the project's coordination. As long as I didn't want to see her, I wouldn't have to. More importantly, who turns down money? I was about to leave when Willow stopped me again. "George, I know I was wrong," she said. "What happened back then?" "Makoto and I were just putting on a show. He promised me that if you begged me, he'd back off. I didn't know about the photos he sent you and that thing in the office. He tricked me." I looked at her and let out a mocking laugh. "So," I said sarcastically, "was it also his idea to force you to stay silent when I was being accused of harassing you?" Willow froze, speechless. Then she stepped forward and said, "I just wanted you to bow your head to me back then. I raised my hand to keep some distance and stepped back. Willow, I said. You were the one who let Makoto in. You were the one who turned me into a school-wide joke. You were the one who didn't trust me. You gave Makoto the opportunity to manipulate you. And now you're blaming everything on him. Don't you find yourself both ridiculous and pathetic? Willow shook her head instinctively, but said nothing. I didn't want to deal with her anymore and turned to leave. Willow hurried after me, grabbing at me in front of the hotel, just as the security guards finally managed to pull her away. Chapter 17, Bang. A red Ferrari slammed into Willow's white Porsche. A woman stepped out of the Ferrari, her long hair lifted by the night breeze. She took off her sunglasses, revealing delicate features and clear eyes. With a light laugh, she said, "Oops, sorry Miss Liu, I accidentally hit your car. I'll have my brother buy you a new one tomorrow." Though her words sounded apologetic, her face showed no remorse at all. Willow glared at her furiously. The host of the forum, an old friend of mine, had heard the noise and rushed out. Seeing Anna and Willow facing off, he leaned toward me and asked, "The Su family heiress, is she your new girlfriend?" I smiled, shook my head, and shrugged slightly. Still thinking about it, the men couldn't help but give me a thumbs up. Damn, bro, nice one. Chapter 18. The next day, all the major front pages were plastered with photos of Willow and Anna facing off at the hotel entrance. When a friend sent me the link, I couldn't help but laugh. The content was more or less the same across outlets, two women fighting over the chance to become Mrs. Wang, getting into a catfight at the hotel entrance over just a few words. In the comments, netizens all said they loved watching beautiful women go head-to-head like this. Plenty of others commented that I was rich and powerful. No wonder goddesses were throwing themselves at me. Back in school, whenever people talked about me and Willow, they only saw me as the creep harassing her. But now, with two women involved, the comment sections only framed it as them being jealous of each other, each trying to get my attention and climb the ladder. So this was the taste of power. The author wasn't lying. In the days that followed, both Willow and Anna would reach out to me on their own. I wasn't interested in either of them and always pretended not to notice. Of course, compared to Willow, I was a bit more polite toward Anna. Today, I worked late at the company and didn't leave until much later than usual. As I stepped into the parking lot, I saw a group of thugs surrounding a woman. They laughed and said, "Hey pretty lady, all alone, want a few of us to keep you company tonight?" The woman slowly backed away and shouted, "Don't come any closer. I'll call the police if you take another step." But the thugs completely ignored her warning, laughing even more wildly as they closed in. I didn't think twice. I rushed forward in a few strides and stood between her and those men. Only then did I realize the woman was Willow. I didn't know why she was here so late, but I had no time to think about that now. I raised my leg and kicked one of the thugs to the ground, then threw a punch square at another's face as he lunged forward, grabbing Willow. I pulled her with me and started to run, but we didn't get far before the thugs caught up. One of them shouted angrily, "Son of a bitch, nobody said this bastard would be this hard to handle. You dare hurt my brother, you're dead." As he spoke, one of them suddenly pulled out a short knife from who knows where and charged straight at me. At the last critical second, Willow stepped in front of me. Chapter 19. When Willow woke up in the hospital, it was already past midnight. The thugs had all been beaten down by the bodyguards Anna brought, and were now at the police station. I sat by Willow's bedside, staring at her with a blank expression. Willow forced a weak smile. "George, don't worry, I'm okay," I asked. "You hired those thugs, didn't you?" One sentence, and Willow's expression went stiff. In the end, she seemed to give up struggling. Her shoulders slumped as she said weakly, "How did you know?" I said, "Anna told me. She overheard your little plan outside the private room." Willow panicked at the mention of Anna and quickly explained, "I didn't expect things to turn out this way. I just wanted to see if you still cared. I wanted to know if your coldness toward me was just an act. I didn't know they'd back out halfway, or that they had knives on them. George, please believe me." She reached out to grab my hand, but I pushed her away. I said, "Do you really think saying this now still means anything?" Willow fell silent, facing my disgusted expression. She suddenly broke down and began crying into her hands. She said, "I just don't get it. You chased me for so long, why give up at the very end? I can't accept it." Looking at her tears, I said firmly, "Because I care about myself more than I care about you. What you want is someone who gives you a sense of security, someone who orbits around you and acts like your personal servant, a simp. But I'm not that guy. We're all living our one and only life. I'm not here to cater to you." Willow shook her head in desperation, trying to deny it. She said, "No, it's not like that. I only became like this because of childhood trauma. That's why I'm so awkward and overly sensitive." Before she could finish, I cut her off. "I don't care what hurt you before, whether it's heartbreak or childhood wounds. I didn't cause any of it, and I'm not responsible for carrying that burden. I never hurt you, so don't bring that crap to me." This time, Willow was completely speechless. I stood up, ready to leave. Willow grabbed my hand and asked, "George, if I said I was willing to change for you, would you give me another chance?" I shook my head and pulled my hand away. I said, "No one should change themselves for someone else. We're only responsible for ourselves, aren't we? As for everything else, talk to the police." With that, I turned and walked away. Behind me was the sound of a woman sobbing in utter despair. Chapter 20. As I walked out of the hospital, I saw Anna waiting beside my car. When she saw me, she waved. Standing beside the vehicle, Anna tilted her head and said, "I saved you this time. How are you planning to thank me?" I typed a few words quickly into my phone and said to Anna, "The land in the Southern District, it's yours now. Sue family owns it." Anna pouted. "That's it. That's your big thank you." I asked, "Then what do you want?" She snorted and said, "Obviously, I want to see your sincerity. I don't need much, just your attitude." I laughed. That's exactly the line I hate the most. Anything can be called attitude. Not giving anything is also an attitude. Giving a little is too little. Giving more still isn't enough, because attitude is a bottomless pit. I said, "Enough with the games. The land in the South is yours. You're not getting shortchanged. After all, old Master Sue had been eyeing that piece of land for years." Anna pouted, biting her lip. She looked up at me deeply but said nothing more. She turned and walked away. For the first time in a while, the live comment feed popped up again. Damn. The male lead is such a boss. Finally realized the female lead is just trash. Thank God he didn't end up with her. Honestly, I kinda like the second female lead. But since George decided to be a true Sigma male, we've got to support him. Guys, look, the author already changed the novel tag from romance to power fantasy. Let's all take a note. Take control of your own life. Don't be anyone's simp. The comments gradually faded away. At the end of the road, the sun was slowly rising. I got into my Lamborghini and drove off. The steering wheel was in my hands. Wherever I go from here, it's entirely up to me.